So today's class, we are going to discuss about corporate governance. We discuss about directors, right? And let's see once these directors, their position. There are various types of directors and appointment methods of directors also differs time to time based on the requirement and situation in the organization. And then we also have the duties, powers of the directors, right? And his position in the organization as a trustee, as a partner, as an agent, as an officer, as a employee. Director plays different roles. That's the position of the director in the company or organization. So after that, let's see about the corporate governance. So we discussed all this, okay, qualifications of director and all. This table I already presented you. So whatever given here, that only I simplified and I explained you in the class, okay, instead of referring to this material. Same, I took everything from the material only, Priyanka, okay.
Okay, ma'am.
So today we are going to discuss about corporate governance. So what is corporate governance actually mean? So, okay, we will discuss about that. Okay, so generally a corporate governance is a business corporation where it's directed, it's a system, it is which is where a business entity is directed and controlled. Okay, it's a system where a business entity is directed and controlled. Under this, yeah. Yes, it is corporate governance, we can say, is a field of economics that which investigates into the how to secure or innovate the efficient management of the corporations by the use of incentive mechanism like a see corporates that is business entities have a lot of competition and they are not only the present environment, it's not only earning profits, it's important for the organization to see work efficiently and effectively for the benefit of the consumer, right, as well as the firm. So this through this corporate governance, the management that is business entities will take the initiative. I'll be directed towards the how to utilize the available resources efficiently and effectively, and so that they can ensure prompt payments to their suppliers and make sure they're getting the proper returns on their investments. Okay, so with this aim, this corporate governance came into existence. An approach or a system came into existence as a part of the corporate social responsibility of the organizations. So let us see about this concept of a corporate governance. It's a, as we said, company is an official person and it is cannot carry on its activities on its own, but it has its own legal existence and has to achieve certain goals. Like it has to continue for a long period. So an existence, a business, like assumption that the business continues for a long period, and all the like stimulating the enterprise so that it is capable of having opportunity at a particular time. So when it has an assumption that continuity of business operations is one. The next one is stimulating its operations to reach its goals within the specified time. And next one is facilitating constructive challenges within the business. So whatever, see, to achieve the major goals of the organization, within the organization, it facilitates certain challenges which are constructive. Constructive challenges means what? It's a one after the other. You must go in a pre-planning. Means if your long-term goal is achieving 1 crore sales, then to achieve that 1 crore sales, what's your before that making a proper promotion. This promotion comes from where? Proper allocation of funds. Allocation of funds and proper supply of goods. Promotional methods will be made possible, proper allocation of funds. And not only that, I'm coming back to backward. So if organization has a goal of reaching 1 crore sales, so how do they construct the challenges? Okay, the major challenge is reaching 1 crore sales. So how do they construct the within the organization to reach the major of goal? That is, I'm coming backward. So if 1 crore sales to be reached, a firm must have a proper promotional methods. Okay, proper quantity of goods produced, and this is possible when proper staff and material are required and funds are allocated for the promotion. Then this and production has taken place in a proper for maintaining the quality. This quality of and supplying the goods, making sales, it may have different ways. Increasing the sales by reducing the price, or increasing the quality by retaining the same price. Or so one after the other, by achieving a small targets or challenges, a firm can able to reach it a larger target. So facilitating constructive challenges is the another concept of corporate governance. Identification of right challenges so as to make an appropriate allocation of resources. Yes, what is the right challenge? Say 1 crore sales. So what is the right challenge here? To produce, or to give promotion, or to improve the quality, or to reduction of price, or the material. Which is the challenge to reach your major goal? Identify that and allocate the resources accordingly. Is again a concept of corporate governance. So company attempts to achieve these objectives through certain people, that is a board of directors, as we discussed. Okay, through a board of directors act on behalf of a company, being a what you call being a artificial person, right? So being an artificial person, company acts on behalf of directors acts on behalf of the company and with the interest of the company. Okay, and they carry all the interest of the shareholders on being elected members of shareholders. So there need to be a corporate governance, because you will find this corporate governance in all the different sectors. It's not limited only to corporate entities. The different sectors, fields, you can find this corporate governance, like in legal aspects, economics, ethics, politics, management, finance. This. So let us see the scope of this corporate sector, or sorry, corporate governance. So first, structuring of boards. What corporate governance covers or includes. Scope is nothing but what it includes. Okay, structuring of boards. So one of the activity or the function that the corporate governance is relating to composition of water, relating to the composition of board members, means how many board members represent within the organization and represent with the outside organization, and what is the role of a non-executive and independent directors. This structure and their duties, powers will be laid down clearly by this corporate governance body. The next one is board procedures, and it also covers this how a board meetings has to be conducted, how frequently means how it has to be conducted, how frequently to be conducted, what is the required number of board to be attended, and what is information to be provided for the meeting, and what decisions can be taken in the meetings, what are the contributions of various committee directors, okay, in the meetings. These all are look after by the corporate governance. Okay. So next one is enhancing the shareholders or participants disclosure of financial information, fulfilling shareholders right. Okay, next one is participation, enhancing the participation of shareholders and providing the required financial information to the shareholders is also part of the corporate governance. Then finally, industrial democracy through co-determination on boards, setting up of ESOPs and representation of institutional investors. So, okay, so these are some of the uh, fields which corporate governance covers in an organization in order to make sure the organization should have a proper cooperative social responsibility, work in a proper social responsibility. So this so altogether, what you see here, it concentrates on equal distribution of rights and responsibilities to the different people involved in the organization, like board members, management members, shareholders, and the other stakeholders. Everyone it considers and makes sure everyone will have their own rights in their position in their role, should providing some rights to them and distributing some responsibilities and duties is the major concept of corporate governance. Okay. So here you'll have not only rights and responsibilities, some rules and regulations and procedures also be provided in this. Okay. So next one is objectives of corporates. Whatever the concept we learned, that itself can be in other terms expressed as objectives of corporate governance. If you see these corporate objectives, let us see again. Installation of properly structured board which is capable of testing independent and objective decisions. The first objective of the corporate governance is installing proper board which can handle and can take the decisions, handle a goal or its policies on their own. Means installing a proper structured board means who directors, board of directors, managers, managing directors, and their rights, duties, powers, authorities. If this is structured properly, automatically these people can able to work independently and take decisions effectively. So that's the main objective. Next one is laying down a proper structured board. Next one is ensuring a properly balanced board having representation of an adequate number of non-executive independent directors capable of taking care of the investors of all the stakeholders. Yes. Next one is this corporate governance also, the objective is to make sure that the board consists of equal, means the board of directors who are there, they are going to be in a good number as respect of their positions and all. So that they can take the business with the interest of the stakeholders. So this element ensuring properly balanced board having representation of adequate number of non-executive independent directors capable of taking care of investors of all the stakeholders. This is what in previous class, that is in yesterday, I said appointment of directors, proportion of directors, and minority to protect the minority shareholders. Some 2/3 proportion will be considered. So that is here. Means it considers, it makes sure that all board must have a balanced representation from all the categories of shareholders so that they can represent the actual shareholders and their interests and their opinions in the meetings. So that is our second objective. The next one is adoption of transparent procedures and practices in decision making by an informed committee of board of directors. The next corporate governance objective is to make sure whatever the decisions the firm takes, whatever the procedures and practices, those are maybe adopted in a proper, in a transparent way, so that every board of directors are informed and every stakeholders must know. So this adopting a transparent, whatever procedures is adopting, it is make sure that those are transparent enough and gets opportunity to everyone, and make sure that everyone get the required information. That way, it laid on the structures and procedures. Next, effective and regular monitoring of management functioning by the board. The next one is corporate governance. It also, the objective of this corporate governance is to make sure that management and the board of directors work which more effectively, and make sure that the monitoring of this hierarchy will go smoothly. That is also the next one, disclosure to shareholders with a view to help them become informed of the relevant development impacting the company. So disclosing the relevant information to the shareholders. That's the other important, means this corporate governance make sure neither of the person's interest is affected, and make sure every stakeholder's interest is protected irrespective of their size in the organization. Exercise of effective control on corporate affairs by the board at all times. The next final objective is to, final but not the least, is implementing certain controlling measures in the corporate affairs, on the corporate affairs, so that it can control and make sure board work effectively. The next one is, again, whatever objectives we discuss, those only in the different tone comes under the importance of corporate governance. Look at this once. Ensure there is a suitable balance of power in board of directors. That is what balanced structure, right? Next, makes a board of directors responsible for monitoring and managing risk. That is what a properly structured board capable of taking independent objective decisions. The next one is ensures that the external auditors remain independent and free from influence of the company. That's second, with the first one only again matches. Okay. The next one is ensures the company is run in legal and ethical measures, and increases the level of confidence and transparency. Okay. Control the controllers by increasing the amount of reporting and disclosures to all. Okay. So building control at the top that will cascade down the organizational hierarchy. Okay. The next one is approaches to corporate governance. What are the different approaches that the corporate governance adopts to make it successful? Now, theories also. Yeah, more three topics are there. So, approaches to corporate governance. This first corporate governance is rule-based approach to corporate governance. First one is rule-based approach. It is a rule-based approach to corporate governance is based on the view that the companies are required by law or any other form of regulation to company with the established principles of good corporate. That means all the companies are which adopt the approach of rule-based approach. They are required to carry on the business as per the law, and means you may get it out, madam, all the organizations, companies act, that only not to follow, means required by law or any other form of regulation to comply with the established principles of good corporate. But apart from the company law, whatever principles and guidelines are there to be a good corporate body of organization, those are to be adopted, and certain organizations approach this way, means adopting certain rules, values, and principles that are established by the corporate body. Okay. So this approach is beneficial in that way, cannot ignore those rules, because the rules are they are adopting the rules, and so they will not ignore, and they'll carry on. So all companies required to meet the minimum standards of corporate governance. So whatever rules when you are adopting external body, external one, apart from the company law, to be a good corporate entity, those rules you will not ignore. So when that means you will follow. That enables the company to meet its minimum standards, and also meet the investors' confidence, which increases the stock value in the stock market. These are the advantages. Coming to the disadvantages, same rules might not be suitable for every company, as the circumstance of every company is different. So whatever this rule-based approach is there, that may not be suitable for all the companies. Only certain companies may able to follow this rule-based approach. For certain companies, it is not possible. They may not able to follow. Say for example, rule-based approach. Education institution, you take, they can follow, they can adopt a rule-based approach of corporate governance, and everything they can adopt by following the rules to be a good corporate institution, good educational institution. Because now education institutions also became corporate bodies. That's why I'm quoting that. Okay. And the next thing is that, hospitals, if you take, hospitals sometimes cannot follow the rule-based approach to be a good corporate entity. Why? Because in case of emergencies, they had to break the rule and they should go to save the patient's life, right? So that is like, so this rule-based approach of corporate governments is not suitable for all entities, or different from company to company. At the same time, it is not easy to regulate. Negotiating remuneration of directors, deciding the most suitable range of skills, experience for board of directors, and accessing the performance of board and its directors is difficult. If you are going as per the rules within the company also, board of directors all the times may not able to follow the rules, and may not possible to perform effectively by following only rules. So this rule-based approach, when you adopt, as per when you are measuring the performance, it gets difficult. Okay. And okay, so you cannot, similarly, based on the performance, if you would like to pay the remuneration, that also is not again possible. So rule-based approach has this what we call drawbacks. Coming to the next approach is principle-based approach to corporate governance. That is, some companies adopt this principle-based approach to corporate governance, which means alternative to the rule-based approach. And here, a single set of rules is inappropriate for every company. So this principle-based approach says you cannot adopt just certain rules. You should not allow students go, means do only BCom, means only MCom, like something such kind. Or you should not have the single-based rules. You should adopt to newer systems, newer markets. So they say circumstances and situations differ from companies to company. So therefore, that corporate governance code should be applied to all the major companies. But the code should consist of principles, not rules. Because When rules are when these cannot be followed by some organizations and but need to be followed by other organizations, it's difficult. Okay. Mm, so principle based approach, if you see, principles changes from company to company, form to form, people to people. Like so it's not all it's it won't say rules or a single set of rules. It gives certain principles. It means ask the corporates to follow certain principles to be genuine marketer in the market. Okay, say what are those principles? Uh, the principles should be applied by all the company guidelines or provisions should be issued with the code to suggest how the principles should be applied in practice. So first, okay. Uh, so principles should be applied by all the company guidelines or provisions should be issued with the code to suggest how the principles are applied in the practice. Like it says there are certain principles to be followed. To say to guide how these principles to be followed, research guidelines must be given. It's not rules. Okay, guidelines regarding how to practice those principles, implement those principles in the business is important. Next one, as a general rule, companies should be expected to comply with the guidelines or provisions. Yes, what are the guidelines or the provisions are provided? Those are expected to be followed by the company. Like how they are expected to be followed the guidelines in while doing first unit memorandum articles. He also did that the girl did promise, right? So like that here general rules companies should be expected to comply with the guidelines or provisions. The next, it's not necessary that you spend the next one is when a company does not comply with the guidelines or provisions of a code, it should report the phase to the shareholders and explain the reasons for non-compliance. The next, in this principle-based approach, uh, it says if company is not able to follow the guidelines or the provisions of a code, it must inform to the shareholders and also uh, give some explanation why it is not able to compile those principles. Okay, so there are two approaches. One is rule-based approach and the other is principle-based approach. Rule-based approach means tells all the rules how it has to approach. Okay, so it has certain advantages and drawbacks. Similarly, the next one is role-based approach. And the role-based approach, no, sorry, principle-based approach. Principle-based approach is that says a single set of rules not sufficient. Certain principles a company has to work out. Understood? Now let us come to the theories of corporate governance. We have different theories. Corporate governance. These all addresses certain challenges of governments when the firms when face while implementing this corporate governance time to time. Okay, so let us see these theories. Okay, the first one is agency theory. Agency theory is what it tells about the relationship between the principals, shareholders of the company, and agents, that is directors of the company. Okay. because which director also acts as an agent on behalf of agent of the shareholders. Okay, so it tells what is the relation. This theory tells the relationship between these shareholders and directors. So according to this theory, these shareholders of company will hire the agents to perform the work on behalf of a company. Okay, so in the process of that, these principals delegate certain work to the directors or the managers in order to carry on the business. Okay, so obviously shareholders expect that agents act and take decisions with the best interest of the principal. Okay, and not necessarily that agent should make decisions in the best interest of principals. The agent may act in self-interest and fall short of expectations of the principal sometimes. Key feature of agency theory is separation of ownership and control. Okay. Mm. So this agency theory says agent, there is a principal and agent relationship between the shareholders and directors and okay, directors of the company. So as per the theory, whatever the shareholders delegated the authorities or the rights to these agents to perform certain works, these agents are expected to perform and act while taking the decisions in the interest of the company, that is principals. Okay. At the same time, they can take, it doesn't mean they cannot take beyond that, but sometimes mostly they are expected to take the decisions with the interest of the principal. And this agent is not, what do you call, yeah, self-interest and fall short of expectations of the principal. So the key feature of agency is, yes. The next theory is stewardship theory. What is stewardship theory? Who is steward here? Yes. Yes. Priyanka, are you there? Yeah. Stewardship theory. Stewardship theory means it states that steward protects and maximizes shareholders' wealth through form and performance. Stewards are company executives and managers who work for the executives and managers who work. The stakeholders of company are investors, suppliers, employees, government, customers, trade associations, society, etc. So the theory focuses on manager decision making and interest of all the stakeholders, which has intrinsic value of customers. Okay, so this theory says these the shareholders who are there, they place all the stewards of company executives and managers who work for the shareholders make profit for them. The stewards are satisfied and motivated when organization success is attained. Okay, so that means these directors who acts as a stewards of the company, as per this theory, must always act with the interest of the organization and protecting the shareholders' interest and maximizing their wealth is they must become the major aim of the directors. That is what stewardship theory says. So who are the stewards here? Company executives and managers. Okay, who are executives and managers who are working for the employees. Okay. So they must always think about the benefit of these shareholders, work their efforts in such a way, and they also make sure that they make profits from these shareholders. The next one is that stakeholder theory. What is stakeholders? Stakeholders are nothing but the people, shareholders or the people who invested in the company or who have interest in the company. Financial. Okay, so incorporate accountability of management to a broad range of stakeholders. So the stakeholders of company are motors. The stakeholders of company is motors. Like companies, investors, suppliers, employees, government, customers, all these people comes under the stakeholders. So this uh, theory says, stakeholder theory says, the management must be accountable. Okay, whoever the stakeholders are there, to all these stakeholders, management must be accountable in case of any any losses occurs or any misconduct occurs. The theory also focuses, that means accountable means managers while taking the decisions, they should always think from the stakeholders perspective, whether they have intrinsic value or not. Okay, uh, that has to be taken into consideration, and no one stakeholder interest dominates others. Yeah, so stakeholder theory says the managers and executives of company must work with the interest of the stakeholders. Who are stakeholders means all the people who are interested in knowing the financial information of a company comes under the stakeholders. So with the interest of these stakeholders, they must act. Means they should see, they must see their means any decisions that they're taking, any policies that they're making must be with the interest of the organization and the stakeholders. That is what this theory says. The next one is resource dependency theory. What is resource dependency theory? Again, this theory focuses on the role of board of directors in providing access to resources needed by the firm. Okay, board of directors. So, what is resource dependency theory? Focus on the role of directors, improving access to resources needed by the firm. See, generally, how efficiently you use the resources and how effectively use the resources with the minimum cost is what shows the performance of the directors. So, what is the access to the resources, and then also how efficiently these essential resources are acquired and managed and handled for the survival of the company is more important. So directors bring resources to the firm like information, skills, access to key constituents such as suppliers, buyers, public policymakers, social groups. How to utilize these resources is again is important in their hands only. Okay. The next one is, so what are the resources? Information, skills, access to key constituents like supplier, buyer, public policymakers, social groups. These all are the resources of a firm. So how efficiently you are using these resources? How good you are in acquiring these resources? How good you are in getting efforts from these resources? Okay. How much you depended and how effectively you are handling these is important. That is what resource dependency theory says. The next one is transaction cost theory. Means company has number of contracts within the company in itself. Okay. In transaction cost theory with market through there is cost associated with each contract with external party. Cost is called transaction. Transaction cost. If transaction cost of using the market is higher, the company would undertake the transaction itself. Because theory says that company there's a company has number of contracts within the company itself or with the market through which it creates value for the company. There is a cost associated with each contract with external parties. Such cost is called transaction cost. Transaction cost of using market is higher. The company would undertake the transaction itself. Okay. The next one is political theory. This is the approach of developing voting support from the shareholders rather by purchasing voting power. It highlights the allocation of corporate power, profits, and privileges are determined via government's favor. Okay, so you have 5 types of theories. Six are there. Agency theory, stewardship theory, resource dependency theory, stakeholder, transaction, political. Right? So these are the theories of corporate governance. You actually, the same you get a, yeah. The next one is relationship between the corporate governance and corporate social responsibility. Yes, Priyanka, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. I said corporate governance is a system which establishes some rules and regulations and some structure of for the effective and efficient performance of the corporate entity. Right? Then what is corporate social responsibility? So they see it is where these corporate bodies are expected to work in a positive impact the shareholders or the stakeholders of the organization and yes, model positive impact with the shareholders in the environment. So let us see what is the relationship and differentiation. So first, let us see corporate governance is ensures that the organization runs in a responsible manner by ensuring accountability, transparency, and compliance with due regard to its key stakeholders. That is what it establishes some rules and regulations, some structure by making every activity and every function of these people in the organization are accountable, transferable, and have some due response with regard to the all stakeholders in the organization. So it is altogether a set of legal, cultural, institutional arrangements that which determines how a company has to be traded and can do its activities, what to do and what not to do. Okay. The next one is corporate social responsibility. What does it mean? It's a form of regulation integrated into the business model to create a positive impact on the stakeholders and the environment. So corporate social responsibility is a corporate form of regulation integrated into the business model to create a positive impact on the stakeholders and environment. So this is a concept whereby companies integrate social and environmental concerns in their business operations and in their interactions with their stakeholders on voluntary basis. So it brings together this public and company. So by integrating these, the public and the stakeholders will have a positive impact on the company. That which makes this positive impact will have a various interactions with the stakeholders and on the voluntary basis, and they can enjoy that positive impact. So let us see the similarities of both. First, CSR is gradually getting integrated into corporate governance practices. So corporate government is what? Making them accountability, transparency, and following certain rules and regulations, which is also CSR, like your companies or social with the social responsibility. When you work, whatever the actions that you take, that is the inside the people of the organization, that makes them for any makes them accountable for any negligence. These both are CSR and corporate governance similar. Okay. The both corporate governance and CSR focus on the ethical practices in the business, the responsiveness of an organization and its stakeholders, and the environment in which it operates. Yes, that is the part of the transparency. Transparency is a corporate governance. The same thing corporate social responsibility. Uh, why the transparency? Because you are ethical enough in your working. So both are consist of focus on the ethical practices of the business. The corporate result into better image of organization and directly affects the performance of an organization. Yes, exactly. This concentrates and puts its efforts on the what you call the better performance of the organization. The next one is CSR is based on the concept of self-governance, which is related to external legal and regulatory mechanism, whereas corporate governance is widest control mechanism within which a company takes its management service. So, CSR is based on the concept of self-governance, where the related to the legal, external, regulatory mechanism. Even corporate governance is also the same, which works under these all mechanisms. Okay, so observing these all, the management has to take the decisions. That is, so these are the common similarities between the CSR. So one is integrated part of each other. The second is both concentrates on the ethical practices in the business so that business can be responsive and with the interest of the stakeholders. The third is both result in a better image of the carrying of both of these results with a better image of the organization. And finally, these two are related to like as CSR is related to external legal and regulatory mechanism, so the corporate governance also more than that, beyond that, wide mechanism. Okay, so that is about similarities. Coming to the dissimilarities, yes, related to profit maximization and protection of those who have provided capital. Corporate governance. Why this corporate governance? It says when you have a structured executive body, your goals can be achieved. Your challenges can be understood and predicted, and accordingly you can develop plans and can achieve. So corporate governance is with relation to profit maximization. Okay, of the stakeholder, these shareholders. Whereas CSR is opposite to that. It's with the benefit of the external society. CSR is carried by the business entities for the benefit of the society. Means your company, how your company is beneficial to the organization, how your company is beneficial to the society, how your company is going to provide help for the development of the society or the country. That way it says. Okay, so it works in that way. It thinks and performs its functions in that way, CSR. That means corporate social responsibility of a company. The next is managers hired focuses on maximizing the value of the firm and unethically by being socially responsible. They may raise external stakeholder value at the expense of stakeholders' wealth maximization. Okay. A corporate governance the facing the challenges and structured methods for the profit maximization, right? So this with the focus of maximizing the firm's value, managers may enter into the unethical ways. Okay, but this social responsibility will control that by entering into such practices. Okay. Instead of maximizing the value of the firm, it makes sure this the CSR makes sure the firms concentrate on maximizing the shareholders' wealth. So that automatically enables the firm to reach its goals effectively. Both the firm will grow, stakeholders also will grow. That is the interrelation between the CSR and corporate governance. Yes, Priyanka?
Yes, ma'am.
So we completed this second block. The next Saturday and Sunday, we will go with the third block. Do you have any questions?
No, ma'am.
Thank you, Priyanka. Thank you for being here. Uh, and Priyanka, what about other classes? Are they attending other students for the other subjects?
No, ma'am. Only 3 or 4, 5 members. That's it.
3 or 4, 5 students are attending.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh,
Ma'am, in fifth semester, we have 6 subjects only, ma'am.
hmm.
Fifth semester, low.
Yeah, I
We have
think
income tax.
generally you will be having classes for main subjects.
Okay.
Electives, I think they'll conduct later on. Now these are core papers, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Electives you will have later. After completion of these core papers, you will have the classes for electives.
Okay. Elective is principles of marketing, like that subject.
You have 3 electives, I think. Based on the group that you select, you will get your electives.
Okay.
So our next session is upon meetings. No, secretary. I think secretary is a so small topic. In one class we can conduct, and then meetings one class. These 4 classes over 5, 6. Yeah, I'll complete company secretary in one class, and then meetings, types of meetings in one class. The remaining, that means 6 will be over, and these 8 classes. I don't think so how many classes I didn't notice it. Anyway, we will do it.
Okay. Ma'am, in this only theory part, is there or any practical some?
Theory only, no practicals. This is pure theory paper. But as is subject is the company law, if you are capable enough, good enough in writing, at least some main topics wherever you have the case studies or the like previous cases relating to like I used to I previous class I gave some examples, right? Even yesterday for the directors I used 2 examples. So those examples you can give in while writing your answers, while giving your answers.
Ma'am, you have any idea about this principles of marketing?
What do you want? What idea?
I mean, theory part or practical some sort?
Principles of marketing is also theory.
Indian economy
Theory.
and financial market is there.
Indian economy also theory. Financial markets also theory.
Okay.
If you look into the syllabus, you will understand also. Purely theory
Books
only.
are not there.
Emma?
Books రాలేవు ma'am.
Okay. సిలబస్ రాలేదా మీకు సిలబస్ ఉంటుంది కదా
No ma'am, రాలేదు.
ఓకే వెబ్సైట్లో లేదు
లేదు మ్యామ్, ఓన్లీ ఇవి కోర్ సబ్జెక్ట్స్ ఉన్నాయి. ఇన్కమ్ ట్యాక్స్, కాస్ట్ అకౌంటింగ్ అండ్ కంపెనీ.
ఓకే ఇన్కమ్ ట్యాక్స్ ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ మళ్ళీ.
ఎస్ మ్యామ్.
ఇన్కమ్ ట్యాక్స్ ఇస్ a problem there.
Cost accounting also.
Cost accounting is in problems. Okay, Priyanka, then
Thank you, ma'am.
we'll meet in next class.
Okay, ma'am.